The Florida Gators have landed a commitment on this fine Sunday evening with Peyton Joseph, offensive lineman out of Warner Robins, Georgia. We're going to talk about it here on Locked On Gators.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and welcome back to another bonus episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day, every day, especially on this Sunday evening. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to podcasts. I almost said Monday. I'm used to it on Sundays, but happy Sunday. I'm Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with Giants Country and NFL 33. So the Florida Gators, first off, continued a pretty solid start to their 2025 recruiting class, which is still just so weird to say 2025 at this point, considering it is February 2024. But that's recruiting for you. But they've added Peyton Joseph, who was the Florida Gators were favorites for him for really the past few weeks, if not a little bit longer there. But the finalists for him were Florida, Florida State, and Georgia Tech, were considered the public main three. Also in there was LSU, Michigan, Miami, Penn State, Tennessee. But really, it was Florida, Florida State, Georgia Tech. He is from Warner Robins, Georgia again. So Georgia Tech was one of those like, maybe I just want to stay home kind of things. The in-state school, the in-state favorite there. Florida State, his cousin plays for Florida State, and then Florida is Florida. Like he was just like, Florida's Florida. Like how do you not want to play there? Which, hey, I get it, love it. 6'3", 280 pounds, which is pretty damn good size for someone who's entering his senior year of high school. And this is again a pretty good start for the Florida Gators class. We'll talk more about that in the second segment here. But I'm a big fan of this addition, obviously improving the offensive line and starting to add to the offensive line class early, or starting the offensive line class pretty early in the process for Florida is big there because, I mean, on 24/7's composite, he is the number 4 offensive lineman, interior offensive lineman. And then we'll pull up on 3 and see. I love how on 3 has them ranked with multiple. So, on 3, he is the 206th national player, 13th interior offensive lineman, 26th in the state of Georgia. On 24/7, he's the 107th national player, 5th interior offensive lineman. He's 4th on their composite, and he's 15th in the state of Georgia. ESPN, 134th nationally, 3rd interior offensive lineman, 23rd in Georgia. Rivals, 127th nationally, 4th interior offensive lineman, and 14th player in the state of Georgia. He's a blue chip on all of them. He's a 4-star exactly on all of them. And on the on-3 industry ranking, he's the 123rd ranked player in the country, 5th interior offensive lineman, and 18th player in the state of Georgia. 6'3", 280 pounds. It's a massive add for Florida. And it was one where I think Gators fans got a little shaky on it the other day when Darnell Stapleton left, because of course he's an interior offensive lineman, and Florida had Rob Sale was his primary recruiter there, and he said that he had a close relationship with Darnell Stapleton, and so Darnell Stapleton left, and it became it became, is that going to be a difference? And I mean, on 3, I think it was Keith reported it on like Wednesday night when Darnell Stapleton left, that he was basically just like, yeah, we don't anticipate this having any bearing on Peyton Joseph's commitment, and that has proven to be the case as Peyton Joseph has now committed to the Florida Gators. I think he's a big dude, like great size early on. Again, I think he's got some pretty decent power, pretty decent pop, and I'm based on the limited film available, looks like he just hates people. Like if we're just being real about it, he looks like he just hates people. Like he just moves, dude. And that's a great thing too, because we've needed some nasty on this offensive line. Like this offensive line's been bad for the past few years. So you needed some nasty there. And he had offers from all over. Really, I think some schools just got in too late on him, and that he's going to hopefully continue to be a riser, especially with he's already physical as hell. He's aggressive as hell, and he's strong. So I figured as he develops there and actually develops some technique, you're going to be looking at someone who can help kind of move this offensive line along in 2025 and 2026 and beyond, where this offensive line desperately needs it. And look, Rob Sale, for now at least, a solo offensive line coach. Pretty good start to the 2025 class for him. We'll talk more about the 2025 class and what Peyton Joseph does for it and how he helps it and how he could continue to help it just by being a part of this class. But first, we're going to get a quick word from our sponsors. This bonus episode of Locked On Gators is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right tools, or has the right tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another stupid little job board. Miami just hired their DB coach from LinkedIn. I don't know if that's why he actually got hired and that he has experience in Marshall with their DC, but they posted a job on LinkedIn, and then a few days later, voila. So maybe LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. It gives you access to professionals you can't find anywhere else. And hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. It's so easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Yeah. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats, so they might not have the time or resources to hire. So they make it as easy as humanly possible. That's like their job. Just saying. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. This bonus episode of Locked On Gators is also brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. The NBA will be back this Thursday. I am chomping at the freaking bit. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And I'm just saying right now, before Thursday, before the NBA's back, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. So you can place a $5 bet on college basketball, soccer, whatever it is, and get $150 if your bet wins. 150 bonus bets that you can use on the NBA when they come back on Thursday. Saying, don't make things more difficult than they have to be, right? Just visit fanduel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. Remember that FanDuel is an official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Thanks for making this bonus episode of Locked On Gators your first listen of the day, every day. We are available daily and free reviews in the podcast, and we will be back tomorrow, by the way, too, with a mailbag from the subtext group. But I do think that Florida right now, when you look at 2025, or the 2025 recruiting class, they're off to a pretty strong start in the trenches. Adding Peyton Joseph today makes your offensive line start with a blue chip, which, by the way, Florida had 1 blue chip offensive lineman in the 2024 class. And I believe there's also 1 in the 2023 class. So it's not like they've been compounding these guys. So starting with one is a great beginning for the Florida Gators. They had Rod Kearney in 2023, and that was their only blue chip offensive lineman until Peyton Jones joined way late. And so they had 2 in 2023 with Peyton Jones joining Rod Kearney, but Peyton Jones didn't play in 2023. And then the 2024 class now, you added Fletcher Westfall, and then you added Mike Williams, was a high 3-star. You added Noah Portniagan was another one, and Marcus Maskell was, again, another addition there. And then you added, of course, the offensive tackles from the transfer portal, but I'm not considering them as part of blue chip or the 2024 class there when we're talking about high school recruiting. So 2025, off to a pretty damn good start by adding Peyton Joseph, and you've got a great start there. Then you look at the defensive side, and you got Jalen Wiggins on the defensive line, who's going to continue to be highly sought after because he's a dude. Just no other way to put it. Peyton Joseph, now adding Jalen Wiggins. That's a pretty damn good start to your trenches. And again, this is a Florida staff that throughout their time has heated up in the late spring and early summer. So to have in mid-February now, mid-late February, we'll say mid-February, to have a blue chip offensive lineman added, pretty good start. And this is not the only blue chip offensive lineman that Florida has traction for. They've had traction for quite a bit in this cycle now, and they look to improve it. And hey, maybe Rob Sale as a solo recruiter is just going to be better there. Maybe the two offensive line coach approach or mindset wasn't very effective on the recruiting trail. And I understand that there were some people who felt like they were being pulled in two different directions by the two offensive line coaches. So maybe Rob Sale, as a solo coach for now, is just going to be able to bring in more talent for this offensive line. And especially he gets to just go, hey, Robert Hunt, Max Mitchell, Osiris freaking Torrance. I was there for all of them, and I was the main guy for all of them. And so maybe he can bring that kind of as his approach, and it'll sell easier than having both him and Darnell. Maybe. It's also important to talk about when we talk about Peyton Joseph, as far as building the 2025 class out. It's also important to talk about how 4-star quarterback target for the Florida Gators, Antoine Hill, is Peyton Joseph's high school teammate. See how that helps? Like, again, and then Peyton Joseph is the one that's said, like, hey, I'm going to go wherever I think is best for me. Antoine's going to go wherever he thinks is best for him. We've got a lot of offers in the same spots. Like we've got offers in the same places. But I'm going to pick what's best for me. He's going to pick what's best for him. That's a fine approach to things, because I think a lot of times when kids go like, oh, yeah, no, we're a package deal, we're going to go to the same place. That's not even how it ends up happening. So to just straight up approach it as, hey, he's going to go where he goes, I'm going to go where I go. But if we were to play together, then that would be kind of a dream come true, to go high school, college together, just be in there. That'd be kind of a dream come true for us to be able to do that, especially because he's an offensive lineman. Antoine Hill is a quarterback. Like this isn't the same as like, oh, yeah, one's a corner and one's an offensive tackle, so they don't even work together that much. This is two guys that work together pretty frequently. And so for Florida, I think it's one of those times where I don't know if it helps you to bring Antoine Hill. I would imagine that having Peyton Joseph would help with Antoine Hill, because Peyton can just be like, hey, man, like I'm just saying, if you wanted to come get ahead. Certainly doesn't hurt to have a high school teammate with him committed right now, where again, like, hey, maybe Antoine Hill lets this run down to National Signing Day. That's 10 months where Peyton Joseph, assuming he stays committed, is going to be like, hey, I'm going to Florida. You can come with, and we can do this thing together, and kind of build something there with this 2025 recruiting class as well. But I think Peyton Joseph is a massive add for this class. We'll talk about it with Brian Smith this week on Locked On Gators. Nice to make Locked On Gators your first listen of the day, every day. We are available daily and free reviews in the podcast. We'll be back to talk more Florida Gators football tomorrow. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with Giants, Country, and NFL 33, and I will see you all next time.